News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moskow.
Karen, we will have much more on a busy week for markets and the latest developments on the war with Iran in a moment. But we begin with the very latest on the shooting over the weekend at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. Bloomberg's Alexis Christoforous kicks off our team coverage. Alexis.
The California man accused of opening fire at the White House Correspondents Association dinner referred to himself as a friendly federal assassin in writing sent to family members just minutes before the shooting. Law enforcement officials say the writings made repeated references to President Trump without naming him directly. The president spoke on CBS's 60 Minutes, where he weighed in on the alleged shooter's manifesto.
He's radicalized. He was a Christian, a believer, and then he became an anti-Christian, and he had a lot of change. He's been going through a lot based on what he wrote. His brother complained about him, and I think reported him to the police, and his sister likewise complained about him. His family was very concerned. He was probably a pretty sick guy.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says investigators are still looking into the alleged shooter's motivation.
We believe that he traveled by train from Los Angeles to Chicago and then Chicago to Washington, D.C. And we've executed search warrants on his devices as well. We've started talking to folks that know him.
31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen is in custody. He is set to be arraigned on felony charges later today. In New York, Alexis Christoforous, Bloomberg Radio.
All right, Alexis, thank you. Well, according to a law enforcement intelligence profile reviewed by Bloomberg, Cole Thomas Allen spent years quietly acquiring his arsenal. Bloomberg's Laura Davison continues our team coverage.
He's a 31-year-old from California. He took a train from the West Coast to Washington, D.C. and was able to check into the hotel where the event was taking place a day early. And that's one of the ways he was able to avoid scrutiny and some of the security coming into the building. He has allegedly written this manifesto that Bloomberg News has seen, which calls Trump a traitor and also refers to himself as a potential assassin. But it's not clear exactly what his motives were.
Bloomberg's Laura Davison says Allen earned a mechanical engineering degree from Caltech in 2017 and was pursuing a master's degree in computer science at California State University, Dominguez Hills, as recently as last year.
Well, Karen, as you can imagine, it was a frightening time for the thousands attending the dinner. David Gura was among them, covering the event for Bloomberg this weekend, and continues our team coverage.
The ballroom, which is in the basement of the Washington Hilton, was packed. It seats about 2,600 people, and we milled about, gathered around our tables, taken our seats, and then there were speeches. The president of the White House Correspondents Association spoke, and we were digging into our salads when, in the corridor beyond the ballroom, we heard the sound of gunfire. And those of us who heard that noticed it, wondered what was happening. And that was most eerie was the silence that kind of descended on the room as those doors to the corridor busted open, and we saw police and Secret Service coming in with their weapons drawn, and they made their way through the well of this ballroom to the stage. They did that by knocking over chairs, stepping on tables, making their way onto the stage. And we saw the president, other dignitaries, along with the reporters who were members of the White House Correspondents Association executive board, taken off of that stage. And then Secret Service, with their guns drawn again, pointed them at the audience as they looked to see if there was anyone with a gun in the audience as well.
And Bloomberg This Weekend host David Gura notes the White House Correspondents Association President Weijia Jiang said the board would meet, quote, to assess what happened and determine how to proceed.
Well, Nathan, President Trump is arguing the chaos at the Correspondents' dinner shows why the White House needs a new ballroom, and the president made the case in an interview with Fox News.
Military and Secret Service have wanted it for many years, and I'm getting it built. And the one good thing is that now everybody knows how badly needed it is.
President Trump's ballroom would be used for state dinners and other events planned by the White House if it's built. The Correspondents' Dinner is organized by the White House Correspondents Association, which is an outside group. Last month, a federal judge ordered construction halted on the ballroom until President Trump gets approval from Congress. The Justice Department filed yesterday for the lawsuit to be dismissed, citing the attack on the dinner.
Well, we're going to turn now, Karen, to the latest from the Middle East. There may be a new development with the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran nearing the 2-month mark. Axios is reporting that Tehran is signaling it's willing to accept an interim deal with the U.S. where it would reopen the Strait of Hormuz if the U.S. lifts its blockade of Iranian ports. The report says Iran's told mediators in Pakistan that negotiations over its nuclear program could be dealt with later. We get more from Bloomberg's Jumana Bersetchi in Dubai.
What Iran are putting forward via the mediators is not an end or a solution to these peace discussions. In fact, it is just the conditions under which the negotiations with the U.S. can continue. So it's important to make that distinction. What they're saying here is in order for them to come back to the negotiating table, these are the conditions that need to be satisfied.
Bloomberg's Jemana Bersetchi reporting from Dubai. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi is now in Russia for a meeting with President Vladimir Putin, with the U.S. talks now at an impasse.
And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moskow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.